Greetings, variants, clause, access pass holders, and Web3 enthusiasts. My god, this community is growing fast. In this video, I'm going to voice my predictions for Snapshot 7 based on the teaser trailer that was dropped last week called Midnight Ride, and talk about what the overall gameplay loop is going to look like for DEADROP.
We're going to have to get from the hideout to that tower.
Last week, Midnight Society dropped a ton of new information, including our first look at vehicle gameplay for DEADROP's upcoming Snapshot 7 reveal, along with the first purchasable cosmetics known as driver's key packages, and there's now a game access pass available to the public for anyone who's interested in testing out DEADROP for just $10. The driver's key packages that are available for purchase on Midnight Society's website include unique vehicle skins and license plates. The 4 packages that were released include Midnight, DEADROP, Hotshot, and Dr. Disrespect. I see what you guys did there with the Dr. Disrespect package. 82 Pontiac Trans Am, kit from Knight Rider. It looks great. Each of these packages also comes with 5 exotic crates, which can include a variety of cosmetics for your character, vehicle, and weapons. If you purchase all 4 of these packages, you're granted an additional 10 exotic crates for a grand total of 30. Alright, so starting off my predictions for Snapshot 7, the player hideout's coming back. Or so I thought. Rob just announced today, on Tuesday, during the Discord AMA, that the player hideout is unfortunately not returning just yet. They included this image in the variant guide back in Snapshot 5 saying garage under construction, right? So we can only assume that means that the dev team is hard at work on developing the garage section along with the firing ranges, the helipad possibly, and the weapons bench, just to make sure those all connect more fluidly. With the hideout being absent from this next snapshot, I'm predicting there's going to be a garage tab at the top, similar to how we currently access the vendor, and that'll allow us to open up a new screen to then customize our vehicle, similar to how we do with our loadout. We're going to see vehicle customization, possibly vehicle mods. We have one weapon mod currently, so I'm hoping they at least give us one vehicle mod to mess with, even if it's something like nitrous for a speed boost, and some other parts that maybe affect the way our vehicle handles, you know, acceleration, braking, torque, all that. Obviously, we're getting a death race from the player's hideout to the tower. Based on what Rob said at the AMA on Tuesday, I'm predicting that a full lobby will be on the highway racing against each other to duke it out to see who can get to the tower first. And getting to the tower first has its privileges. I'm going to go into some spoilers that Rob shared during the Discord AMA, so if you don't want to hear any of this, just look for the on-screen indicator letting you know that the spoilers are gone. Rob shared that if you're killed in the race, it's not over. You will be able to respawn after a short delay behind your killer. So it's kind of similar to, you know, falling off the racetrack in Mario Kart, right? Like you just kind of get lifted up and brought back on, and then you can keep going. The purpose is that you're now at a disadvantage, and your killer and all the other players that passed you in that amount of time it took you to respawn are getting a better chance of getting the tower first. Now, why does getting the tower first matter? If you get there first, you'll secure your spot in that sector. This is important because it was announced that now there will be sector limits, meaning a cap, a player max for each sector. So if you're last to arrive and you got demolished a bunch on the way to the tower, the gates are going to rise and not allow you into that sector you wanted to go to. Then you'll have to pull out your phone and ask Siri to reroute you to another sector, and it's going to be embarrassing as hell.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Arriving first also has more benefits, as you'll be able to choose where you want to spawn in that sector. Rob shared that because the sectors are so large, there'll be different points of entry to the sector that you can drive up to start your tower run. So navigating that race sounds like it's going to be more complicated than just one off-ramp to get to your exit. Multiple routes detected. Rob said that there will be multiple routes in the death race that lead you to different sectors in the tower, which makes sense. That means you're no longer queuing up at the main menu to choose if you want to go to Sector 3 or Proving Grounds 2.0 or waiting for the map rotation. If you want to get to another sector, you just go there. You make sure you get on the right route, maybe take a shortcut if you discover one, and try to get there first before anyone else to not only secure your spot in that sector, but give you the advantage of spawning where you want to spawn. That'll affect your efficiency in completing certain challenges later on when they become available with factions, most likely, and also loot. We already know that In Sector 3, the best loot spawns right at the top at Superlift or at the bottom of cold storage. So arriving to the tower first, making sure you spawn there to get kitted up if you're doing a scav run, that's going to be beneficial. Knowing this information will make players think twice about what kind of gear they want to bring into the race and then into the tower, right? Do I want to take a fully kitted car with decked out armor and just a beast, but I'll go a little bit slower, but I won't get demolished? Or do I want to go more lightweight, focus on speed and maneuverability? That way I can outmaneuver my opponents and get to the tower first. We're going to have options. All right, that's the end of the spoilers for now. Let's continue on with more predictions. As for loot for this next snapshot, because we're getting cars now implemented into the game and car parts and mods have been mentioned in the past and variant guide images, I'm assuming we're going to be able to loot and extract car parts from the tower. Taking these parts and extracting with them back to the player's hideout will then allow you to further customize your car to improve the handling, the customization, the cosmetics, everything. Midnight Society just announced that they're going to be allowing tradable items in the game as long as they're legendary tier. So I'm wondering if you'll be able to loot other items in the game that aren't related to microtransaction cosmetics that you can also make tradable to other players in the game. It'll be interesting to see. My last prediction is a little farther out there. I don't think we're going to get access to it soon in the upcoming snapshots, but I'm sure it's going to happen at some point. And it's about helicopters that you can access and fly to the tower. Midnight Society is going all out with DEADROP, right? And that will become much more clear with each snapshot we get. They ain't gonna stop at cars, all right? Helicopter flights from the player's hideout to the tower will be a thing, mark my words. If you think about it, we knew about the helipad at the player's hideout before we even knew that the garage was a thing, right? If you were at the LA event with me, you saw the purple glow to your left, right? You knew that something mysterious was there. But as you're going through the firing ranges, if you noticed at the end, after taking out all the Terminator-looking dummies, there's a ramp that goes down with bars and a keypad. And in the distance, you can clearly see there's a helipad, right? Now, if you were clever enough and had your timing right with the ledge grabs, you could actually jump out of bounds and walk your way onto the helipad, get a nice look at the tower and the city traffic below. We knew about the helipad. Do you think it's just going to stay empty the whole time? Hell no. They're going to give us a helicopter at some point. Maybe not in Snapshot 8, but at some point they will. They have to. They're not just going to tease us like that and not give us something for it. You know what I mean? Plus, we already know that there's a helicopter extract in Sector 3 cold storage. Why not let us get a helicopter too and customize that, right? Think of all the trinkets and skins you could put on your own helicopter. We're already seeing packages for vehicle skins. I could easily see them making one for helicopters. Just saying. This is an extraction-based game, for God's sakes. You can bet your ass they're going to give us more ways to extract than what we've seen so far. It ain't going to stop with zip lines, maglock doors, heli lifts, and super lifts. Those theatrical extractions are great so far, but come on. Do you remember that image they showed in the early ARG days? Did you ever zoom into Sector 4? Hangar extraction? There's a jet. We're going to Maverick our way out of Sector 4 as an option. Ooh, what if they let you take the helicopter from the hideout to the tower, like on the rooftop, and that's Sector 7. And then that's like some kind of legendary raid where like fully kitted players go in. So you're just up against other high tier, high ranked players. Now they got me thinking. Damn. Let's go into the teaser breakdown. We saw a lot of signs off the bat right away, freeway signs. Obviously we see Sector 3 entry here, along with warning unlawful zone ahead. This gives me some Purge vibes already. I love it. I don't think the unlawful zone is anything special. I think it's just saying, hey, there's chaos ahead, be ready. But what if later on they introduce cleaners into the death race as a little PvP interaction, right? I know they're not great to fight against in the tower right now. They're a little OP with the aimbot and a little inconsistent, but I can totally see them being implemented into the death race. Can you imagine you're just flying on the highway, right? You just took out a couple guys, you think you're a hot shot, you're flying down, and all of a sudden, and then they just decloak right behind you and just lay you out, man. That would actually suck. I'd be pissed. Don't do that. Rob, cut that one. As far as the map goes, from what we can gather into the teaser trailer, it looks like it's a highway that leads from the hideout to the tower. And it's hard to tell how long this map's going to be. It looks like there's several different tunnels you can take. They only show Sector 3 as an option for a route in the trailer. But as Rob said, there's going to be different routes to different sectors. So the map might be pretty massive to just get there. Besides the tunnels and different routes, I noticed there's these ramps, and they show it very early on in the beginning of the teaser trailer for Midnight Ride. But you don't see the character explode. They take a very careful look at this car going off this ramp and then just kind of disappearing. My prediction is that car did not blow up and that they were smart enough to know, I don't want to take this fight. These guys are kidded. I'm going to take this ramp because I know it leads to an underground tunnel and it's a shortcut to get to the tower. Going back to the multiple routes, I'm sure there's going to be ways to outmaneuver your opponents, maybe find some hidden passages. If not in Snapshot 7, then eventually down the line. Rather than this is one straight shot to Sector 3, here's this one to Sector 2, and here's this other one for Sector 1, and so on and so forth. There's got to be some secrets woven in here or there. As far as the cars go, we're definitely going to see customization, right? Besides the vehicle packages that we've seen on their website, you can already tell that the headlights look different, right? Some of the spoilers are a little different. I want to see grills, hoods, roll cages, bumpers, wheels, nice little underglow, right? You can change the color. License plates are a thing already. And there's, of course, going to be mods. If you look at some of the back of some of these cars, they got those kind of blue tubes that look like nitrous almost. I'm already seeing a speed boost already. It's going to be a thing for sure. I had this funny idea of like a space dust flux capacitor as a mod you could put in your car, and you just, you know, empty some dust in there for a little speed boost or a jump or a maneuver of some kind. We're going to see some sick mods in this game. I'm sure we'll also get other car parts to improve our handling, drifting, acceleration, turning, braking, damage resistance even, if you want to add armor to your car. I'm sure those will also be things that we're seeing down the line. As far as first-person driving goes, I don't know that we'll get that. Maybe later on, but obviously right now in the trailer it's only showing third person. I prefer third person when it's vehicle gameplay. In Grand Theft Auto 5, I hardly ever use the first-person perspective. It just completely narrows your vision. It's just not helpful. However, I could see them financially marketing the first-person perspective, because if you're in first person, right, what are you going to see? Your rear view that maybe you can customize, get it all nice and chromed out, maybe have a DEADROP medallion hanging from it, or your clan's logo, maybe a little optic bobblehead on your dash. You change your speedometer, change your steering wheel like in Mad Max, you know, rip it out, put a new one in. You can totally customize the interior design of your car, and all those could be cosmetics for purchase or for trading in game. So I can see that happening if they're trying to make a little extra dough. As far as the damage goes for the vehicle combat, it looks like there is a damage fall off. At the beginning we saw this guy shooting the SMG at the car right next to him. He got some hits for 19, 20, maybe 25, 26. Later on down the tunnel, they're shooting at someone else and it showed 10, right? So there's clearly damage fall off based on distance, which is good. I'm just hoping there's a skill gap for the vehicle gameplay. And that includes leaning out and shooting. So we see this happen a couple times where the driver can lean out and shoot. And I'm assuming that means they're also exposing themselves, right? So if you're leaning out and shooting someone and they whip out a sniper and headshot you, I want to see that happen. If you're taking the risk to lean out and try to destroy another car, you should be vulnerable. Your body's sticking out the window. It does look like you can still control the car while leaning out and shooting though, which is neat. I wasn't sure if it was like, okay, you're committing, now you're just focusing on gun gameplay. It looks like he leans out and he's still going forward but can still steer the car. So that's good to know. Car damage versus driver damage, I'm assuming it's going to be different. We see a character here wearing no armor at the beginning, and then later on in the tunnel, we see him wearing a heavy helmet. So does that affect you getting shot as you're peeking out the window? I'm assuming yes. Collision damage looks like a thing already. You see this guy slam into this debris in the tunnel here, and it's absolutely annihilated. Lastly, I want to talk about the gameplay loop. We've heard Doc talk about this a lot, how this death race is going to be the last component of the gameplay loop for DEADROP. So essentially, from start to finish, you start at your player's hideout, you get equipped for a tower run, you go into a death race, and then you reach the tower, do your run, and extract back to the hideout if you live through all that, right? But that's essentially it. Player's hideout, death race to the tower, tower, extract back. So that's the loop. I'd like to run through a brief example of what the gameplay loop is going to look like in a bit more detail once the game is fully released, based on the limited information we have going into Snapshot 7. You start at your player's hideout, readying yourself for a tower run. You hit up the vendor, see what they have to offer, maybe reclaim some insured loot you lost along the way, get a new mod, etc. You access your weapons bench to slap on that new attachment you just extracted with for your favorite gun, swap out equipment and other gear like the zipline thrusters, the wingsuits, the sky hooks, and an integrated harness. Whatever the hell that is. And then you do the firing ranges, right? You're warming up, you're getting ready for combat. After that, you access your garage, tune up your car, swap out some mods depending on what kind of run you're doing. Then you become a road warrior. You're battling against other players to skillfully navigate your way to the tower, going to the sector of your choosing depending on what missions you may have active or what type of loot you're wanting to extract with. Now it's an FPS experience. And you need to decide if you're going to focus on your missions, extracting with specific loot, maybe unlocking potential secrets for that sector, or hunting down everyone in the lobby and being an absolute predator. You go for the dead drop, you extract, or you die trying. Either way, you return to the player's hideout, turn in some completed missions to progress your reputation with different factions you're working with, maybe to unlock new rewards, right? To give you an edge in the next tower run you have. And then it repeats. That's the loop. And I love it. It sounds simple in the end, but there's going to be such a narrative-driven story to this game that you create. And that's the big picture that maybe some people don't see quite yet. Player's Hideout's great. It's a training grounds for you to get ready, get prepped, feel good, practice, and just prepare yourself for the chaos you're about to enter. The death race is kind of your secondary warm-up before getting to the tower, right? But it's not to be taken casually. It's a death race. Your life and possibly loot is on the line. So if you survive that, and even get a couple kills along the way, that's adding to your narrative of just one tower run. Just getting to the damn tower is a challenge. If you manage to get there, you go to the next level of your story. Now it's a new narrative. It's an FPS vertical extraction shooter. Are you gonna get the dead drop? Are you gonna complete some missions? Or are you gonna frickin' die? This game is gonna be extremely fun to play. The sandbox is going to be incredible. They got Quinn Del Hoyo as lead creative designer at Midnight Society. He was the lead sandbox designer and weapons designer on Halo Infinite, lead arena designer in Halo 5, and the principal designer for the Overrun PvP game mode in Gears Judgment. Remember that game mode? That was sick. Just with that game mode alone, we saw the creative potential for a Gears sandbox, and it was really fun to play. The guy knows what he's doing. If you look at Halo Infinite, I personally love the repulsor. You can use it to deflect, to jump, pancake someone, push vehicles, or outmaneuver. All of those are fun elements to take the player's experience to the next level with experimenting with in-game mechanics. And I love that. If it's just a run and gun shooter, that's not going to be interesting. Yes, the loot can be rare and that can incentivize the player, but allowing the player to get creative and giving them that level of freedom to experiment with different gadgets, different equipment, different weapons, vehicles, all of that. That's what makes for a great gaming experience and enhances the layers of replayability for that kind of game. That's what's going to make this game amazing. And people are going to be coming back for years to play it. Those are my thoughts for the Snapshot reveal, Midnight Ride, along with everything else that was released last week by Midnight Society. I'm stoked for Vegas. I can't wait to see all of you there. If I don't see you there, I'll see you on the road.